I'm going to talk about my Grandma Byrd. If I was differentiating, I called her Grandma Byrd.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was Grandma Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to go there pretty regularly. They lived in the woods in Louisiana on a farm. She would always let me help with whatever I wanted to help with. And so she made biscuits every morning, fresh biscuits. And I can still see her hands doing the way she turned in, because she had this big bowl that she kept in this flour bin that she had under the sink, and it just kind of pulled out like this. It was full of flour. The bowl just sat on top, and she'd replenish the bowl when she needed to. So she'd have this big bowl, and she'd make a well in the middle of it, and then she would put in her milk and an egg, I think, and some bacon grease, usually, that she had saved. And then she would start doing this and throwing flour in and patting like this until it got to the consistency she wanted it. And then she would just start pinching off dough, putting them in a round pan and patting them down like this. And they would raise up, and they were like this big, you know, when they got finished, and they were so fluffy and light. And
was there space between the biscuits in the round pan, or were they all squished together?
They were all squished together.
Uh-huh.
And then they just got bigger and filled up the pan. Yeah. And then we would have biscuits and scrambled eggs and bacon and Johnny Blue Ribbon syrup is what we put on the biscuits. And that was really good. She made her own butter. She churned it. And
did she use milk from her own cow?
yes, she did. They had cows and hogs and chickens, and I don't remember any goats. And they had a mule. They had enough that they could feed themselves with slaughtering the hogs and making their own bacon and ham. They had a smokehouse, and they grew sweet potatoes and watermelons and all kinds of peas and beans and corn. She had a fake eye. She had false teeth, and so, you know, we were all like, Grandma, take your eye out. And she'd just pop it out for us. And so
was it a glass eye?
It was. It was, and it wasn't a very good one back then, you know. So she always wore dark glasses to kind of hide that her eyes were different. Anyway, so when she was probably about 12 or 13, I think it was, she was out in the field with her sisters, and they were harvesting wheat. And I guess, I don't know if they were willowing the wheat at that point or whatever, but
what's willowing the wheat?
Willowing is where you throw it in the air and the wind blows the chaff away, and then the little grain of wheat that you want falls down. So that's willowing. And so I don't know if they were doing that or what exactly happened, but a husk pierced her eye, and then it got infected, and it was really painful, she said. And so they removed her eye, and it felt better then. But then she only had the one eye ever. But she got real used to it. She could drive and do anything.
How old was she when that happened?
About 13. Yeah, she was young. Because I know that she already had the fake eye when she married my grandfather. Now, thing I remember is being in the kitchen with my grandma one time, and she was making lunch, and my grandfather came in, and there was a big bowl, like the, you know, big bowl of white stuff. It looked like mashed potatoes, and he took a spoonful, and then he was like, "Eh," and spit it out. And my grandma says, "Well, Hunter, why are you eating the grease?" You know, it was shortening or something, but he thought it was mashed potatoes. I was in the kitchen again with my grandma one early morning, and my grandpa came in and he gave me a kiss on the cheek. And that was the biggest deal to my grandmother. She says, "He never kisses anybody. He's never kissed anybody. He kissed you on the cheek." So, you know, I felt pretty good. You know, it made me feel pretty special. And she was real pretty. Back then, she was real pretty, I thought. And slim, and yeah. And she had a lot of friends. She was a very, very friendly person, I guess, because she had a lot of friends and people that would just stop by to talk to her and get one of her cakes or something, because she's a good cook. She's a very hard worker too, and all of their lives they worked very hard together to make money, to improve, to provide for their kids. And she had several interesting jobs. She worked at Camp Polk, which was an army camp, and she worked in the cafeteria there.
Was that World War II?
Yes. My grandmother was very religious. She loved the Lord, and she wanted a vibrant religion. She wanted to feel alive in her religion, if you know what I mean. And when I was probably 15 or so, Grandma joined the Pentecostal church. That was an upset for the whole family.
Was she Baptist before?
Yes, she was. She was Baptist. Everybody, all the way back as far as I can find, was Baptist. But she was very happy in her new religion. So, you know, and Grandpa just kept being a Baptist. He didn't say anything. I even asked her one time, "Grandma, what does it sound like when you talk in tongues, you know?" And she kind of did this clackety thing. Yes, she went back east with my uncle Howard, and he took her on a road trip. And she also, because I know she went to Tennessee for sure, and I don't know how far else. She went to Arizona with some friends from church. They took her out west, and so she collected some rocks and stuff when she was out there.